All right. Well, hey, let's get started. Sorry about the confusion. My name is Joe Nicole. You guys, I'm glad that you're here to join us today. End of the last breakout session, end of the NIADA convention. You guys' heads are probably pretty full. Hopefully your pockets are full as well, and you're reasonably hydrated. We're going to be talking about building a reputation of gold through customer enablement. I promise you that's stuffier than the presentation actually is going to be. My background really quickly, I've been at Dominion Dealer Solutions for about 9 years working in the automotive industry. Before that, I spent about 4 years working for a call center, alarm center as a training director, and I worked with kids for about 6 years before that in a therapeutic residential setting. So what brought me here today was talking to you guys a little bit about your online reputation and how do you go about building your online reputation. We hear from a lot of our dealers, they say, well, you know, I had a handle on that. I thought we had a gal, we had a guy, right? Or our old vendor had it, but we kind of lost track of it. We're not sure where it's at. So we're going to talk a little bit today about where to start, where you can build a process from there, and how you can get this to be something that's just included in your day-to-day for your dealership. We're going to go over some stats on why it's really important, why it's become increasingly important over the past few years. So I had some fun with this. I started kind of diving into put my dealership hat on, when I'm going to encourage you guys later on to kind of put your customer hat on. And I started looking at how do I, you know, as a dealership, how would I start? How would I begin to really get a handle on my online reputation? And one thing that struck me in looking at all of these reviews and different things you have to deal with is, boy, wouldn't it be great if you guys as the dealers could start reviewing your customers once in a while? Wouldn't it be great if you guys could give them a review back? Because, boy, they can be pretty nasty, can't they? And sometimes they can be really valuable reviews, right? So about 12 o'clock last night, I'm going through this presentation, and I decided, man, what would it be like if I was reviewed as a friend? I texted my sister and said, hey, you know, I feel like I've settled on, I'm about a 3.5 friend and family member. 3.5 stars is pretty humble, right? And I got a text back from her this morning with 1 star. And I realized she was 3 hours ahead of me, so I texted her at 3 in the morning, so she wasn't too pleased with that. When I got this topic to talk about, almost immediately this came to mind. So this is a review from my buddy's bar, actually, a good friend of mine where I live. And we're going to talk a little bit, I'm going to weave it through our discussion, but I'm going to tell you why this is the best review that this bar ever received. So if you can't read it, it says, this place sucks. And you can read it on my shirt as well. 1-star review. And you see there, the only thing that they have going is a quality beer list. Pretty much the only thing they serve is beer and whiskey, right? So he took this review, and we're going to talk about how he found it through a proactive process. We're going to talk about how he leveraged it. We're going to talk about how he didn't get distracted by somebody who is saying he should be doing other things than what his brand and his brand promise is. And what you've heard, I'm sure, a lot throughout these different conferences is you got to stick to what you do, right? Stick to that, and then you can start to work on your online reputation and really cut out the noise. I am not married. I hear it's great. Anyone who's married says it's really awesome. But my friend, a good coworker of mine, he missed his anniversary. So we're going to do a quick little exercise for everybody who's here, and you guys are going to tell me, we're going to go through 3 different restaurants, and we're going to decide where he should take his wife to make up for the fact that he missed his anniversary. Now, the first thing that he searched when he missed his anniversary was how to save my marriage. And when he sifted through all of the divorce lawyer ads and the therapy ads, he decided, you know what, maybe I should just take her to dinner. And he found 3 places locally that he could take her to dinner. As you can see here, we have Adolfo's Grill, 350 Grill, and Tower Grill, all with different reviews. The first one, Adolfo's Grill, he took a look, and he said, this is pretty good, 4.5 stars. That's decent, right? It's believable. We don't believe in 5 stars, right? Because we kind of think that that's a joke. Not many bad reviews, but none of them had been acknowledged by management. So that was his first place. So you guys in your heads, just think to yourselves, which place do I want to go? The next one, 350 Grill, had a few bad reviews, but each one was followed up with by management, 4.1 stars, so a little bit lower. Still in a pretty good range, right? 4 to 5 is probably something you accept. You get down into 3 and you're not sure. And the next place he looked at, Tower Grill, was nearby. He had never been there. 1 review. I was 2 years old, but it's 5 stars, right? So going through all of these, just ask yourself the question, which restaurant might save my friend's marriage? Which would you pick? How many of you guys would pick Tower Grill? Good, awesome. We're all on the right page. So Adolfo's in 350. How about 350 grow? Pretty normal. How about Adolfo's? Sure. And that's where the split comes in for you as a business owner as well. People are today looking at your dealership online. People today, for every business, are looking at reviews, and they're going through this critical response. They're saying, I want to see real, I want to see responses so that I can make the right decision. So if we go a little bit further, what we're going to establish today is that a great reputation is not optional. An online reputation today and building a great one, it's just not optional. How many people are visiting, more and more dealerships? Right? They're not. They're visiting less. They're doing everything online, and the internet is their source of truth. So let's look at some stats really quickly that establish that fact, and then we'll jump into some things that I hope are actionable for you guys, and we'll keep engaged. 85% of consumers trust online reviews as much as personal recommendations, so word of mouth. 49% of consumers need at least a 4-star rating before they choose to use a business. 30% name responding to reviews as key when judging a local business. Now, the interesting thing here is that's the stats from 2017. What happened in 2018? It went up even further. We're trusting the internet. We're trusting Google. We're trusting Facebook. We're trusting these reviews more and more because we are adopting that into our lifestyle. Our phone, the internet, is part of what we do. It's the modern day meeting at the water hole, right? This is the new word of mouth. 91% in 2018, when they were interviewed, said they trust online reviews as much as personal recommendations. Lance tells me, you got to go to this bar, it's great. I'm going to believe him. I'm also going to check the reviews. Anybody ever done that? Your friend tells you got to check this place out, and you double check them on the internet? Yeah, they told me it was good, but let me just take a look really quickly and see if it's a good decision. That's what we're dealing with. So first and foremost, I would say to you, what is your brand and what is your brand promise? You have to establish that before you dig into the dark world of reviews, because you will get lost. If you know what your brand is and you know what your brand promise is, you won't get distracted by the 1-star review guy who says they didn't even have food, right? If somebody at your dealership, say you don't have a service department, and somebody leaves you a bad review that says they don't even service my car, don't get distracted by that. It's not what you do. It's not what you endeavor to do. But as you dive into these, you do have to put on your data hat and step back a little bit and say, what is valuable to me? What are people saying about me? And what little pieces can I grab out of that? And the next question that you should ask yourself through this whole process, would you choose your dealership online? So put on your consumer hat and do the same thing you do for restaurants, the same thing you do for everything else, and start looking just like you would. Pull out your phone. If you got your phone out now, do it. I don't care when you do it, but look and decide, hey, would I choose my dealership based on what I read and what I find? So what we're going to try to do today is kind of establish, where would you begin with that? So where do I begin? I don't even know where to start. We'll talk about some ways that you could start today, right, and get further down the road in owning your online reputation. I'll make a point really quick. If you have a vendor partner that's doing this, or maybe you have an employee that just takes care of it, and you're in charge, take charge of that process today. Because how often do you lose an employee and go, gosh, I can't even build this system back up. They did it. So many times I hear from dealers, I don't know how to get into my Google My Business because the person who had it left. And so you're rebuilding every time you lose someone, or you're rebuilding every time you switch vendors or partners, right? Not a good sign. That's where you want to take control of this and let them do the work, but make sure the process is yours. So let's begin. One of the first places you're going to look is Google. I know it gets said over and over and over, but Google is a source of truth for a lot of this. And Google does a good job of making sure they're pulling different sources. We'll look at that in a moment. But Google has broken down the path to purchase for consumers into these micro moments. Why do they do that? Because the classic kind of road to the sale, they realized was different. We're not in front of a TV all the time. We're not a captive audience with a newspaper. We have these magical little devices that let us look up whatever we want, whenever we want. So the road to the sale, I would say, is a little fractured for people. I'm on my way to work, I pull and I have no AC, and I'm living in Georgia. My AC's out, and I think it's going to be $1,500 to repair because I'm scared, because I haven't even asked, right? So I'm starting to do research. So I think in my head, by the time I get to work, I think, I deserve a new car. When does my search start? It starts at lunch break or probably before I even check my emails, right? On my desktop maybe. Lunch break, I pull out my phone. These are the different moments that Google has broken out, but understand everybody's hitting these moments at different times and with different frequencies. What we want to look at today for you have your which car is best, is it right for me, can I afford it, where should I buy it, and am I getting a deal? And we have it broken out kind of where do these dealership reviews come in? And really your dealership reviews are going to be closer to the end, where should I buy it, am I getting a deal, and kind of that trust factor. Some of you guys, if you do financing, anyone? Anyone do financing? Yeah. So you're in, can I afford it as well, right? Because what's number one on the mind of a lot of people you get when you do financing? I want to know that I'm not going to be embarrassed. I need to know, it's not even about the car to me as much, like it's not about me shopping for specifically a Toyota Camry at that point. I'm shopping for can I get approved and can I afford it? If you have reviews today that you uncover that say, hey, they made this process a breeze, why wouldn't you want to find those and leverage them? If you have people out there today that are saying they had a 350 credit score or something stupid like that, and they say, oh, this place is horrible, they won't work with you. Why wouldn't you want to respond to that so that the next person who sees it, again, word of mouth, right? Next person who sees it says, hey, at least they responded. I trust them. So that's where we want to focus on, is kind of in that where should I buy, am I getting a deal, and somewhat in the can I afford it moments. Action item. I put big things as action items. If you want to start owning your online reputation today, enabling your customers to leave you good reviews, and knowing what you look like out there, start with Google My Business. How many people have access to your Google My Business today? Awesome. 3 or 4. 5. Get it if you don't have it, and make sure it's you that has it, not somebody else. Because if you task somebody else with doing that, as soon as they leave, you're going to have to redo that process. Working with Google over the past couple of years, I will tell you, they don't put time and effort into something they're not looking to leverage, and Google My Business has been ramping up the past few years. They are using that for everything. It's creating what we call the zero moment, right? Not the zero moment of truth from way back in the day, but zero result searches, where I search for your dealership and I never land on your page before I contact you. Because I've already done my research, I've already seen your commercials, right? And I search and I get that Google pack, and it tells me when you're open, it shows me your reviews, it shows me all of these things that you should have control of today. It shows me things like this. How many of you are actively looking at the questions and answer section? Awesome. Awesome. Why is that important? I can go in there today and ask a question about your dealership, and somebody else who's a Google super user or a local guide can answer. And if you're not there to make sure that answer's right, I could answer whatever I wanted. So if I'm mad at you and I see a question there, I could be like, nope, they won't do that, right? So get your Google My Business. I would say if the one thing that you take out of all of this is to start that process, do it. Get my card, give me a call once you have it, and say, what do I do next? Facebook. What's the new experience with Facebook? We all know the faster you get somebody somewhere online, the better, right? Fewer clicks. We all know that 5 stars is the rating that everybody's used to. I'm going to click on 5 stars. Facebook took it one step further with their new recommendations. Go to your Facebook page today, tomorrow, on your phone. I don't care when you do it. Click on your reviews and see what they look like. Because Facebook is now just asking me as the consumer, would you recommend this place, yes or no? That's all I have to do. And they're basing the star rating off of your old star ratings on Facebook, but also on how many people recommended you that had an opportunity to. It's an easy win. When you have somebody who's happy in the store, hey, would you mind leaving us a quick recommendation on Facebook? All they have to do is click yes. And everybody has Facebook. My 70-year-old aunt is probably the most active person I have on Facebook, so there is no gender gap. I don't care what anybody tells you. Everyone's got a Facebook. And the one person who says they don't, they're literally the 1%. So this is what it looks like on Facebook. So you want to know where to start to find out what do I look like online. Start at Google My Business, start with Facebook. Now what? So they're great places to start. I was with my niece the other day at the doctor's office, and the doctor was talking to her about some struggles with school. And the doctor said to her, you're one of the smartest kids I work with here, but if you want to be something, first you have to know something. And she said, once you know something, you have to do something, and then you'll be something. So if you go down this path and you start, I know what my Google My Business is, I know what my Facebook reviews are, you've got to know that. Now it's time to start taking action, right? So where's the next step after Google and Facebook? Well, any guesses? Where would you guys look next? Yelp, that's a good one. And Yelp and Yahoo have a relationship, right? So if you know that I'm a customer who has a Yahoo address, wouldn't you ask me for a Yelp review if I'm really happy right in that moment? So everybody says I need help on Yelp, right? Yelp does lean towards negativity. If I give a 5-star review to Yelp tomorrow, they're like, meh, I don't know, I think I'm going to filter that out because that doesn't seem real. But I sure as heck could go in and give a 1-star review, and they were like, that seems legit, right? So Yelp's a good place to start. What about, what's your merchandise today? What do you sell? You sell cars, right? Where do you put those cars? Car Gurus, Autotrader, Cars.com, listing site here, listing site there, maybe Facebook Marketplace. Maybe you're leveraging other platforms. Every one of the major platforms for third-party listings has dealership reviews. They do that. Why? Because they are focused on the customer and the online shopping experience. Who else has reviews that's an online shopping experience that we all look to as the one source of truth? There you go. Amazon. They put reviews on everything. So go to the listing sites that you're using today and find out what you look like. Here we have a Car Gurus one. This might be a little bit dated. These guys iterate all the time. But on Car Gurus, what do I see there? I see a dealer rating. Where's that sourced from? 100% from their own reviews. So now you have another source that you go to find out, hey, you remember the little snippet we had at Google My Business? Guess what Google does too? They aggregate the ones that have the most reviews and they pull it up and they put it right in your Google My Business listing. So it's important to go out to these and see, because if I'm a consumer and one person has left a bad review, I'm going to be a bad dealer rating on Car Gurus, right? And now people are going to come across my vehicle and they're going to be less inclined to contact me. Cars.com, they source from themselves and DealerRater, because they own DealerRater now, but that's where they source from. Edmunds, it's all their own, homegrown. If you want to know how these work, just Google it. Google Edmunds, how do they get their reviews? You'll get it on their splash page. They'll tell you how it works. Car Gurus is the same thing. I think Cars.com is a little bit of digging. Car Gurus is really good at the results. And then we have Autotrader. It's 100% sourced from DealerRater. So where do you think you should start looking? Or if you're not already, DealerRater would be a good place to look, right? Because if I focus on Facebook and I focus on Google and then I go to DealerRater, I'm feeding a good percentage of the sources of my reviews, and I know what I look like now. So now I have a chance to manipulate my online reputation and to just get my customers more empowered. So here's a quick example of reviews on Car Gurus. Here's a dealership I just looked up this morning, actually, because I wanted something fresh up there. They had 2 reviews. One's really good, one's really bad. They have an opportunity here to look better. But they have to know, and they have to go and find it. Don't count on your vendor partner to do this unless you've asked them, right? This is where if you build a process, I expect you, if you work for me, to do this process, right? Next, we have the Google Local 3-pack. It dominates dealership search results. We've talked about it. This is where your Google My Business comes in. If you guys track it today in analytics, whoever does your analytics for your website, if they aren't already doing this, call them up and say to them, hey, I want to tag my traffic from Google My Business. I want you to put a UTM tag on it so that in my analytics I can see the traffic that's actually coming from the 3-pack, from the side pack, from the people that are hitting directions, things like that. It will open up a lot of engagement, and I guarantee you Google My Business will be the top 1 or 2 source of your organic traffic, and it'll probably be the healthiest or most quality traffic that you get organically. It is a no-brainer to get that done today and get it tagged. But that's what it looks like when you search, right? How many of you guys search your dealership every once in a while from your phone? Good. So you're looking at for what? You're looking for competition? How do you look? Yeah. Yep. And that's exactly what the consumer is doing as well. So you want to make sure you look well there. The other piece is dealer websites, aggregators, inventory-specific search. We dominate this space. Car Gurus, nothing against the company. They do a good job with SEM and SEO, though, right? Because they show up in your local market and get your traffic ahead of time. Look here, and you have an ad, right? And then you have the first organic search results is from Car Gurus, an aggregate. And you'll often see this for Edmunds or maybe even TrueCar. Why? Or CarMax, right? How many of you guys compete with CarMax? How do they compete with you? Because they operate on that national level. So locally, you got to get really focused on making sure you look correct in your market, because that's your battleground, right? They're battlegrounds everywhere, so they're covering all the bases, and they're spending a lot of money to do it. You don't have to spend a ton of money to go head-to-head with them, but you do have to start getting a handle on how do I look online. 50% of consumers visit local businesses' websites after reading positive reviews. Shocking piece that I pulled out of this, 69% of 55 and older. We've got this mindset that millennials are this category and older people are this category. You're going to find, as these stats start rolling out, people in that 50-plus category are doing a lot more online than you think, a lot more on Facebook than you think. You know what millennials are starting to switch over and do? They like the experience. What do millennials like? They like to go on vacation rather than buy something. But now that they're getting older and established, they want the experience of buying a car. So you see here, 50% visit the dealer's website, 19% search for more reviews to validate your choice. And this, in case you can't read it, 2017 is in purple, 2018 is in blue. These are the year-over-year stats. What's increasing? They're going to your website. They're calling. This number over here is really intriguing to me. 13% contact the business when they see a positive review. This is people who, when they see a positive review and they've gotten over that trust hurdle, they go to your website, they call you. Some of them continue searching. 15% visit the business location. So by the time they walk in the door, they know a lot about you and you know nothing about them yet. It's twice as important to get on there and make sure that you're winning these customers because you actually don't have a chance to win them until they come in the door. Here's the breakdown of ages. The blue is 55 and older. Visiting the website, 69% of them are visiting the website. The interesting one is 18 to 34 in the green. 16% are contacting the business. 21% are visiting the business location. What are millennials doing? They're shopping. The thing that we didn't think that they were going to do, they're starting to do. And they're very accustomed to searching for reviews. They know how it works. So they're looking for those reviews. If you're not there, if you're not answering questions, you're going to miss that opportunity. By 2020, they're projecting that 40% of shoppers or 40% of purchasers of vehicles will be millennials. That's only going to go up. So that could be 50% of your business within the next year. So what do customers find when seeking out your reviews? Here's another action item. Take a picture, pull out your phone and do it. Search yourself with the word reviews. That's what people are doing. Don't just search your name, because name search is fun, but that gets you somewhere. Search your dealership name, reviews. And just spend a little bit of time in that. Don't go too far down the rabbit hole, but look at what comes up first and what I would see if I was shopping. So if you've handled Google My Business, and you've handled Facebook, and you're on the right track with your customer listings on Car Gurus, etc., what's the natural next step? Solicit reviews, absolutely. Also, find creative ways to use the reviews that you're finding. On Amazon, do I look for reviews before I decide to purchase or think about it? Yes, I do. On Car Gurus, on Auto Trader, are they putting them there because they think nobody's engaging with them? No, because they understand the online consumer wants those reviews. We want that reassurance, right, that we can't get online until we actually come in the store. So find creative ways to use your reviews. On a VDP, if you have good reviews about that vehicle, throw it on there. But more importantly, look at the other areas and avenues of your business. What's the biggest opportunity for review solicitation in your business today, assuming you do sales and service? Which one is it? Well, how many ROs do you close a day? How many sales do you make? Service is a great area to start really pumping up your reviews. So on your service page, if you have good reviews, why wouldn't you not put them on there? And reassure me, hey, I'm making the right choice here. Don't worry about them being perfect reviews, but if they say, hey, these guys are great, they did a good job, even if it's a 4-star review, it's real to me and you're real to me now. And you're maybe helping me get over that. Credit apps, buy 5 places, right? What am I concerned about? Rejection and humiliation. If I go to your credit app and I'm concerned and I see reviews there of happy customers that look real, I'm more inclined to go further. So now we're in that phase like you just talked about. Now we're building a process, right? And we're getting to that point where we can start soliciting reviews because we control what our reputation looks like. We know what it looks like. So building a process, we talked about Google and Facebook. Maybe focus on your inventory sites. Wherever you're listing it today, if there's reviews, focus on that. You don't have to fix it in a day, but if you know it's there, you'll have the opportunity to start fixing it. Stay balanced. That's the other thing that's going to creep in here. You might have a competitor that's like, there's a brand new website called lemonator.com or something, and they've got great 5-star reviews on there. Don't get distracted. Stay with the larger places and stay balanced. If you're getting a lot, if you look and you say, oh, man, I've got a ton of reviews on DealerRater, doing pretty good, look at the next one that needs some help. Keep it balanced. So the next question that you ask yourself in this list is, do you feel your dealership's reputation is accurately represented online? Some of you that said you do this regularly, at least part of this. Do you feel represented well? Yes? No? No? Yeah, because we're negative, right? We're a little bit negative. We're more inclined to speak up when we're unhappy than when we're happy. So how do you start to combat that? And you'll be surprised, we've asked this question of a lot of our dealerships, and even the ones that are active and engaged go, gosh, I just don't feel like it's quite right. The only way you're going to solve that is by building a process, right? Not saying, hey, you in the dealership, you fix it for me. Because we know turnover is going to cause them to go away. So now you're building a process and you're saying, hey, this is my brand, this is what we value, and this is what we do about our online reputation. How empowering is that for the next internal customer, I call them, but the next employee that comes in? Instead of you just going, I hope you can help us, you say, no, this is how we do it here at my dealership. You're going to love it, and here's the process. I'm going to support you. Maybe that person's less inclined to leave because they feel they have a purpose. So that's the idea of getting to know all of this is, now I know what it is, now I can do actionable items to fix it and focus on the things that matter. So the next wrinkle that comes in this process typically is now you're feeling good, you know where things are, you at least know how you can start to maybe fix it or feel a little better. Your competition. So it's easy to get focused on the competition, be like, oh, they got 5 stars over here, I got to chase the competition. Not really, but it is important to keep track of the competition. Remember, looking at your reviews isn't just for vanity, it's for data. Put your data hat on, and if I see, one guy says to me, oh gosh, this place is horrible, they don't have food, right? If my buddy, the bar owner, said, oh gosh, I got a review that I don't have food, I need to figure out how to serve food. He'd be running around like a chicken with his head cut off for the next few days trying to fix everybody's small problem. However, if you start taking a step back and looking at everything, you start to notice trends and opportunities for you to capitalize. If your competitor is getting a lot of reviews that say they're horrible at financing, get a nice soft message out to those people that says, hey, we'll treat you like family, we're going to get you in, and show them the reviews that we actually do that better. That's your opportunity there, not to look in really close at your competitors and get really busy chasing them. So a strong reputation starts with awareness. We've got the awareness covered. We're starting to look at our competitors. Check for yourself is my best piece of advice, but you can save time by using your vendor partner, using your reviews. At Dominion, we have trackers. We have things that make it palatable, make it quicker. But really, it's more important, too, and I say this as a vendor, bring your process to the vendor. They can improve it, right? The person you hire who has a neat idea, you can adopt that as part of your process, but own it. So that when you switch vendors or you switch software platforms or you switch people, you still have the process. You're not gonna go down from it. Track competitors contextually is what we were just talking about. You don't have to win everywhere, but you do have to win where it matters. Don't focus on what they do that you don't. Focus on what you can do better than them. Focus on where they're at and what people are saying about them, because those are your potential customers as well. That's your market, so you can start to understand what they're doing wrong. And gosh, if they're just like you and they just weren't sure what to do with it until now, you might catch that they're not even keeping track, and you have an opportunity to capitalize on them. Or you might catch something with cars, CarMax and the Carvanas of the world. They're going to have their own hiccups. Pay attention to them. Pay attention to what people are saying about them. This is the really exciting part. It doesn't matter if you haven't done this well up till now. It matters what you do right now. Recent matters. If you look right up here, 40%. How recent does an online review need to be to impact your decision? 40% say within 2 weeks. And then when you go down a little bit, within a month, 30%. 16% say within 2 to 3 months. I already did the math, so I know what that means. 86% of consumers Only value the reviews that are at least within the last 3 months. Isn't that an opportunity? It doesn't matter if somebody got out of the gate quicker than you and has more reviews. It's going to matter that you have recent reviews. So you can start today and get this started. There's no reason not to. That's up almost 10% from 2017. 77% in 2017 said 3 months. Do you see where as a people, as shoppers, this is picking up speed? This is becoming adopted and norm. We are naturalizing this behavior, looking at reviews, and we're expecting recent. Instead of a year, you see the backslide, I'll go back one, 2% look at reviews over a year. That was 4% the year before. We're just pushing that needle up. Now 6 months ago is kind of old. So, you're going to go out today, or maybe even you're doing it right now. You're going to look, you're going to make sure you know what your reviews are. You're going to get a handle on where it needs to be. You're going to start building a process. What do you do next? And this is where exactly what you said comes in, right? This is where you start soliciting reviews, right? In a perfect world, your GM, whoever's the decision maker at the store, would be right there for everyone who's leaving for service and sales because he's actionable and I hope you had a good experience, and we guide that person. That's not realistic. Nor is that how your consumers want to be engaged as a whole anymore. How do we expect to be engaged after sale? Text, email, maybe a phone call, right? But we kind of already know what they're like, especially in service. If they allow you to text them in service, that is their preferred method. Nobody lets you text them, right? Nobody lets you text them unless that's their preferred method of contact. It's become the new, like, oh man, I texted them, they didn't text me back, and we're angry, right? If somebody lets you text them, hey, awesome, I'm going to send you a link. If you want to leave us a review, that'd be great. You on Facebook a lot? Yeah. Would you mind hitting the recommendation button? Because they're happy. But if they're not happy, you also want to handle it before they go out online, because they will. Negative people go out online, right? Positive people need a push. Meet the customers on their preferred platform. That's just engaging in the relationship. Make sure you have a process for reaching out to them. Email's a good one, right? But also kind of dog food that a little bit too. If you got an email that's going out right now to customers, send one to yourself and see how many clicks it takes you. See how frustrating it is to leave a review. If it's easy, that's awesome. If it's not easy, you're missing. You're missing out on good reviews. Google changes all the time. If I got everyone in here, right, and like 5 of you have maybe a Yahoo or a Hotmail or an MSN or something old like that, or majority of you probably have a Gmail somewhere or you're using it, right? If I know you have a Gmail, wouldn't I want to push you to Google? It's quicker and easier for you to leave a review, isn't it? If I know you have something else, maybe I'll round robin you to something else I'm looking for, Dealer Rater. But is that process easy? If you're using a vendor, hey, show me the process. Show me how easy it is to get these reviews. If you're doing it internally, take that trip yourself and see if it's something that would excite you or delight you. And we go right back to these big two, right? Focus on those two because they drive a lot of the results online. Focus on the important sites while making it easier for the customer is kind of what we were talking about. Google reviews. Some of this is figure it out. It's trial and error. I don't know what your process is today. I'm sure you all have a similar process or you have a different vendor or partner. But again, own it and make sure that you're... There are plenty of people out there who are taking your money for services who set it and forget it if you don't tell them what to do. Right? So isn't it better for you to own that process and hold them accountable? And if it doesn't work, if they can't do it the way you need it to be done, value your dealership more than that. Here's a quick case study. It's a dealership that actually followed this process to a T. They didn't know what they were doing. They claimed their Google My Business. They were hurting. These are the results they saw in 7 months. And most of this is work that they did on their own, and we worked with them, but most of it's work they did on their own. Month one, they had 4.3 average of ones that were coming in. So that's not horrible, right? Nothing to get too panicked about. But they weren't getting a lot of reviews. Month one over here, they had about 2 average new reviews a month. So not super recent, right? 2 a month doesn't really put me in that 6-month time frame that I need to be in. And then they identified the reason that they engaged us to try to build a process was they really needed more reviews on cars.com. By setting a process, by owning their reviews, by soliciting customers, and with some of our help, They were averaging 5-star reviews, which is actually something that's great to do, but you kind of want some of those reviews that aren't 5 stars every once in a while, right? You want it to be real. But it brought their average up from 4.3 to like 4.7. So they're dancing in that territory of having a competitive advantage over somebody else. They were getting 11 reviews per month as opposed to 2. And then they also got 50 new Cars.com reviews. So they really built that area up where they were lacking. And now they could maintain it. Majority of that is something you can do on your own, you can do with your vendor partner. Review summaries that we look at today, this is going to look very similar to anything else. The next step from there, I know what I'm doing, I see my reviews, I'm actionable, I'm building a process, I'm soliciting reviews. The next thing you really need to do is what? What's the first thing I'm going to do on Amazon if I see this? This isn't an Amazon one, but it's very similar, right? What do I wonder about here? 5-star reviews, not so much. I want to know what happened here. How many times have you bought something on Amazon and you went, pictures aren't doing it justice. Let me click on these 1-star reviews really quickly. And I'm hoping to see that negative person who I can see through. The person who's like, well, they didn't ship it to the right address, and when it got here, it was half an inch shorter than the dimensions. And I'm going, all right, so that's just someone who complains. We're conditioned to it. Don't worry about those so much. This place sucks is something this guy ended up putting on his shirt. Why? Because everyone that is his target audience in his core group knew that's hilarious. This guy was complaining he didn't have food. The review says the only thing they have going is a quality beer list. That's all he was trying to serve. So he put it everywhere. I'm not saying go make a t-shirt today, but I'm saying focus on what's happening here. Be there to respond. Because what he did before he printed it on a t-shirt, and what he did before he put it on the welcome mat to delight his current customers, is he went in there and he said, hey man, I'm sorry you had such an experience. Stop back by sometime and let's talk about it. He took it offline. And why did he talk to that guy? He remembered the customer. And just like you all, probably in your heads when I've been talking, you guys have a customer in mind where you're like, that guy, or that lady, or that couple, right? He knew the customer. He knew the guy was not stepping foot back into his bar. He wrote it for me. And for everyone else who came across that, who said, I'm not sure if I want to go there. I'm out of town. Let me see this 1-star review. And they would see it. They might chuckle. He responded. So I have a better chance of going in there. That's the best way to clear those off the books. Just say, I'm sorry you had that experience. We'd love to talk to you about it. And then put down what you did to fix it. Don't get specific. Don't entertain a back and forth. Has anyone seen politics on Facebook lately? Or has anyone seen anything like that? What's the worst thing you can do? Engage in a conversation, because now everybody's just trying to one-up each other. Don't do that with your reviews. Don't templatize it, but write something that's kind that says, hey, this isn't typical. Sorry you had that experience. Love for you to give us a call. Because the one thing about negative people, they'll go out there and leave a review, but they're real lazy with following up after that, right? You're not going to hear from them again. Maybe a couple of crazy ones who like to call you every other day to tell you how much you suck. There's a few of those, for sure. But if you're online, you're speaking, again, word of mouth. 85% of people are saying that's better than word of mouth to me is the reviews. That little red 11% indicates the people who just kind of don't ever look at business responses. That means 89% of people look at and value a business responding to reviews when they're looking. It's an easy win. Make it a conversation. So here's just an example of one dealership that has some review responses. Bob, thank you for the review. We're so sorry to hear about your poor experience with us, and we have already spoken to our sales team to make sure the situation like yours does not happen again, et cetera, et cetera. They're taking it offline. Doesn't mean that's what you have to write. And I would venture away from, if you have a partner today who's doing review responses and they're copy-pasting, ask them to stop that. It doesn't have to be, a literary work of art, but it does have to be real and make it genuine. And well, by the way, maybe that's how much I want to write to the bad review. Acknowledge the good ones. At least give them a high five, right? Love it. Thanks for the review. Quick, easy, to the point. Show that you're engaging. That might make me walk in the door. So, how important is online reputation? Hopefully you feel like now you got a better understanding that it's super important, right? It's only going to get more important. Our phones aren't going away. Google's not going away. And And the way we shop is continuing to change towards getting all of that information before I walk in the door. The big buzz around the auto industry is how can I buy online? Well, we should probably start adopting some of the methodologies of other things that we purchase online too. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to happen overnight with buying online, but you can position yourself to look the part. So a few quick items. These are just kind of best practices. Business responses aren't just for the reviewer. They speak to all potential shoppers. And I put this on a slide because I wanted you to remember that when you get down in the weeds and go, oh, I'm responding to this person because I want to get in an argument with them. Respond for me, not for the person who's negative. Respond for the next customer who's going to look and says, hey, that's important to me if you're responding. That's the reason we picked the grill, most of us, right? But there's a reason why a lot of us picked that one over the other one. It's not because the rating. Don't get caught up in I'm 0.2 behind my nearest competitor. Oh, no. It's not that kind of a race. Respond and be real. Show empathy in your responses. Resolve the issue and let them know. Bring the discussion offline. Be timely and avoid a template. Back up into be timely really quickly. That's part of your process. If your partner has a way to notify you when new reviews come in, great. Make sure it's getting to the right person. If you don't have a way, bake it into your process every day. Responding to a review a month later, 2 weeks later, is not near as good as responding within a day or two. Some of the aggregate sites, yeah, go ahead.
So let's say tonight I go home, I start putting all this stuff in.
Yeah.
How do I respond with that from here?
Don't bother. Remember, 2% of people care about a year ago, so don't even bog yourself down with it. I'm not saying if you get a really good process and you want to go back and do that just because you're some people are that type. I'm that type sometimes where once I start a project, I'm like, let me go back and finish this so I just know it's done. Don't bother. Respond to the most recent ones first. Those are the ones people are looking at. Go ahead.
So Yelp typically likes to hide all 5 stars, 1 stars.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of a black hat trick. There's a few people that have tried that. There's actually a document this guy wrote up. He asked everyone to give him 1 stars on Yelp. Yelp is pretty finicky. If that's what you want to do, you could try that. Just remember when you look at Yelp, the general public looks at Yelp and they add a star to the rating. Not consciously, that I don't go there and I write down a star, but in my head when I'm shopping on Yelp and Yelp users, they've done studies and polls, they tend to see a 3-star as a 4-star. And so the 4-point whatevers are really good. So don't overjudge yourself on Yelp. Yelp is a good spot for car dealers. I'm not going to say it's not important, but that's a longer play with Yelp. You could do something like that where it's kind of, this is our gimmick, give us a 1-star on Yelp. Yelp, they're not nice. I mean, they do a good job, and their platform is built the way it's built for a reason. There's a reason why it's so popular, but they're not super kind. These are just quick ones. Logins are key, guys. If you don't know what they are today, get them. If you're somebody in your dealership owns it, say, that's fine, I need it. Document it, store it, because it's a pain in the butt to redo these all the time. Ensure that you're receiving alerts for those sites. Don't ignore positive reviews. These are all just best practices. If you want this, let me know. I'll give you the whole deck. I'm sure it'll be available. That way you can have kind of a check sheet. If you want to give me a call and say, hey, I don't need a whole PowerPoint. Can you give me the check sheet of the things that you talked about? I'll do that as well. Here's my big ending, though. Do you. Don't get bogged down on what you don't do. Okay? That's very important. People suck. 1-star review, people suck. Don't get bogged down in trying to get mad at them, but also build the process so that your people who come in the door are set up for success. Stop hiring people to fix this for you with no idea of what you want them to do. Would you want a job where you come in to fix something and, yeah, sure, it's kind of nice to become that person. As soon as you lose them, you're sunk again. Value your process over your people so that your people can succeed. And I guess I skipped the last one. Poo-poo happens. All right? So don't go yelling at your service guy because of one bad review. Don't lose your mind because you got a bad review the next day. Like, don't get micromanaging on that because that's going to make you stop doing this process. Look at it, put your data scientist hat on and say, hey, I saw that service advisor got a bad review. I'm going to let it go. I'm going to see what the situation is. Over time, if I see more and more coming in and I can see a pattern, that's when I want to do something actionable. I work in product management. If I try to respond to everybody's need, I want it to be purple, one guy says. So I turn it purple. 3 of them say, I wanted it orange. And now I'm chasing my tail. But definitely look for trends. Hey, a lot of people are saying that they don't like our phone. They called and nobody answered. I've seen 5 reviews over the past 5 months that had to do with the phone. I'm going to address that. Make sense? Sorry, I tend to go a little bit long. I think that's all of our time. Any questions that you guys have, feel free to ask. If you've got to go, go. I will stick around right here if anybody has any other things that they want to talk about. Thanks.